Martin Ferris, and the deputy has just over 6 minutes.
Gormagut, Cairloch. In her speech on budget, Deputy Shortall correctly described universal social charge as a tax on the working poor. It is another tax on the working poor. For many of those working poor, it is literally the difference between being able to make ends meet or not to make ends meet. During the course of the election, I had the experience of going to this woman's house. She is a single parent. She has a job. She gets paid, fortunately, on the public service, low-income public service, €760 a fortnight, every 2 weeks. And she told me that her target every Monday morning was to have €5 left over, so that she could have enough petrol in her car to drive in and out to Tralee, which is a few miles, to take her daughter to school. Her daughter is 17 years old. Her daughter is doing her leaving cert this year, and she hopes to get Mary I to become a primary teacher. Her mother doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, or doesn't socialise. And her target of a Monday morning was to have €5. In another house I went to, I met this couple, and what was striking during my entrance into the house was how cold that house was. They didn't have enough money to get aisle heating, to buy aisle heating. They could only buy it in 5 or 10 gallon drums. They could not fill their tank. And that's the state that this country is in at this point in time. That's the state that the working poor live in at this moment in time. The working poor that are penalised by the political establishment. How is it, I can't for the life of me fathom, how is it that no government has the guts to challenge the wealthy and the elite in this country? How is it that they always, when they need finance and need money and need to tax people, that they target the most vulnerable and weak in our society? How is it that, like we were here the last few hours debating Dennis O'Brien and what went on at that point in time? Again, how this elite have managed to compromise the political establishment and this House. That is what this is about. And at the moment, you have in government, supporting the government and coalition, a Labour Party. A Labour Party that gave commitments during the election that would bring a third rate of tax, that it would abolish universal social charge. And they have moved away from that position. Why have they moved away from that position? Is it because we take it for granted that the working poor will accept their lot? It's time that politicians in this House be prompted by their conscience, their social conscience. It's time that elected representatives stand up for the people most in need and bring a conscience back into this chamber. A conscience that will deliver for working people right across this country. And it's time, and I say it's time, and not before time, that the trade union leadership come out, who have come out and supported Labour Party during the general election, but who have stated their opposition to the universal social charge, that they use their influence on the elected Labour representatives, that they use their influence to bring about a situation, that you bring a conscience back into the Labour Party in this country. A conscience that will deliver for the poor in our society, the people who are marginalised, discriminated and damn right blackguarded by the political establishment in this island and in this House. So as we debate this here tonight, I'm challenging each and every one of you across there tonight, and the Fianna Fáil people here and whoever else is in this House, to state categorically that you will abolish an unjust and an unfair tax on the poor in our society and in our communities. That you will come out and you will stand by the workers, and that you will do everything in your power to ensure that the people who have most will pay most in order to get us out of this mess. That we will not continue to penalise the poor. Sinn Féin will stand by the working poor. Sinn Féin will be there to represent them and to be a voice for what is in many instances a voiceless community. And we have it's certainly up to the Labour Party to stand by the roots. James Connolly. Would James Connolly be proud of the Labour Party in government with a right-wing government implementing a further tax on the poor? How would James Connolly view that? That's what you need to ask yourself, you and the Labour Party. You need to stand up for the poor and the poor people in our society and our community, and not go inside in bed with right-wing politics, which have effectively contaminated the political system on this state. So, have I much time left? 1 minute. So, every deputy here tonight and tomorrow night when we vote on this issue, remember when you do vote, if you're voting for this so-called review, push it down the road, forget about it, shove it down out there, let the people forget about it. Once it's implemented, they become accustomed to it. And if you vote for that, you are voting for universal social charge as implemented. You are voting for the working poor be penalised further. You are voting for everything that has gone on before you on this state. And you are voting for to protect the likes of Dennis O'Brien and his cohorts. And it's an awful injustice that you will be perpetrating if you go down that road.
Thank you.